What's up guys, this is Stuart the MFC here and welcome to round 1 of the Total War Clan Centre official 1v1 tournament. This is a 1v1 tournament played on large funds and it's a best out of 3. So I'll have a link to in the description below to the Total War Clan Centre, and it's a really good idea. It's a forums just to let the Total War community thrive in trying to bring the most respectful side out of everybody. So on to this matchup I've got for you today. It's between USSR Olaru and CW Phantasy SPK. So let's go on to match 1 and see how things go. So here we are on the battle map, and it looks like Phantasy SPK has brought a lot of line and quite a few cav as well. So I've quickly went through the 3 battles I've got for you today on double speed or triple speed, so that I could get to the end result screen and write down what all the units are, just so we can save time. So let's put this in play. Right, Fantasy's army, he has 2 Yariki over here. One has a lot of chevrons, the other has 2. He's also brought 3 White Bear infantry, a US Marines, 1 Shogunate Guard Cav, 1 Imperial Guard Cav, and 4 Black Bear infantry. So these guys are mixed and matched all the way along the whole map, tree line to tree line. You can see cannons, so Olaru has brought cannons. He's brought these Armstrong guns with 7 chevrons, and the rest of his army. He has 4 Yariki hidden in various places around the map. He has 3 White Bear infantry, 1 French Marines, 1 Imperial Guard infantry, and 1 Black Bear infantry. There's his Infanterie de Marine there. So first thing I seen is that Fantasy can easily outflank Olaru, and Olaru spent a lot of money on this cannon, and you can see that flare there from Fantasy, using the bombardment in a very good place, trying to get rid of this unit because it would be very beneficial for him to do that. But first off, it doesn't seem like the bombardment is any good here. It's killed about 5 of that unit, but all guns are still operational. And you can see Olaru has quite good positioning, but he is hitting these trees quite a lot, unfortunately. Just seen there, so that's wasting some ammo. And he's been hitting this United States Marines. These guys are down to 97 men already, and the first engagement is just about to happen with the lines, I think. Maybe not, but you can see Fantasy pulling back. He's been quite aggressive, but he doesn't want to lose the first shots bonus, and he's moving this Black Bears to capture this farmhouse. You can see another bombardment going on to that cannon in the distance. Let's see if it done any good, and it did. It killed another 7 men, but all guns are still operational, so but they can't move. One of them can't move now because the horse has died, unluckily. So there's the Yariki of Olaru, and it's just a standoff here. Fantasy does have his cav over here to support, and he's also got his two Yariki running around here, and it looks like he's moving forward now, taking the fact that he's got a lot more line to his advantage and going around the flank of Olaru, who is forced to pull back because he knows he's in a very bad spot with his 3 line there. Sorry. Olaru's moved his general up now, and it looks like he's moving forward up on top of this hill, and he's moved forward in the middle and the centre as well with his Infanterie de Marine, but he's outnumbered here, and these United States Marines have been depleted, but they're still very, very deadly. Sorry about that, guys. I thought I was being interrupted with music in the background, but we shall carry on. Now you see this French Marine is doing pretty well, but not as good as it could have been doing, because it is shooting into the trees and it is being destroyed by 2 lines. Now Phantasy has pushed up a bit more. He's clicked attack orders. You can see the cannons still firing in, and he has now pushed forward his Shogunate Guard Cav and Imperial Guard Cav on his left flank, and Olaru making a pretty bad mistake I think, charging his Yari key into this Shogunate Guard Cav that is protected pretty much by Imperial Guard Cav and this Black Bear Infantry. Not really a wise engagement, as this Shogunate Cav is very good in melee. You can see there it's been Olaru's Cav have lost that battle, and here is the charge of Olaru's 2 hidden Yariki on this Black Bear Infantry. Will I get there in time? It looks like it. Although it did get a bit negated because of this little rise here. This was a very brave move on Olaru's part, but because the Phantasy does have these 2 Yariki to reinforce, it was a bit wasteless, and nothing will come of it really except from a few kills to these White Bear and Black Bear Infantry, which to be honest isn't that big, seeing as Phantasy does have a lot more line. Olaru has moved his general up here, but he's put it in a bad position and it's been shot in the side, and these White Bear Infantry are not shooting at all, and they're just being shot by this line here, and it looks like the rest of Olaru's left flank has been routed and they are shattered, and there goes the rest of his units. So that's game 1 to Phantasy. So let's have a look at the results screen and see what the butcher's bill is. So let's go on to game 2, and will Olaru change his tactics and his army to combat Phantasy SKP, or will Phantasy SKP change his army to throw his opponent off guard? We shall soon see. So game 2 is on the same map, except Phantasy SKP and Olaru have switched deployment areas. Will that affect how Phantasy SKP plays? We do not know. So here is what the second game looks like. Phantasy SKP bringing a lot of line yet again, and his army is actually pretty much similar to the one before in game 1. he has 1 Imperial Guard Cav, 1 Shogunate Guard Cav, 2 Yariki, 4 Black Bear Infantry, 3 White Bear Infantry, and 1 Royal Marines, which he is using to hold his centre right here. Now, has Olaru done something to combat the long line of troops of Phantasy SPK? And it looks like he has. He's brought no cannons and he has a lot more line. He actually has 2 Black Bear Infantry, 4 White Bear Infantry, 1 Imperial Guard Infantry, 1 Royal Marines, 3 Yariki, and 1 Imperial Guard Cav. Again, his Cav is hidden in these woods, but you can see there it's just been shown. And he is using these Royal Marines right here, and Fantasy makes a mistake and goes into the range of these 150 range of Royal Marines, and they have 89 reload, so the first kills go to Olaru, and these Royal Marines absolutely annihilate that infantry. It looks like they're reloading so fast you can't see them move, but you can see here these White Bears have been absolutely destroyed. They're down to 80 men already, and that's only the third volley. You can see the bombardment of Fantasy's SKP's general on these Imperial Guard Cav, and these guys have got 9 chevrons and they're absolutely beast. 104 reload, 75 accuracy and 37 ammunition. That is just insane. Plus they are 150 range. These will destroy anything, even a 5 chevroned Royal Marines or elite unit. So that's a very good bombardment from Phantasy SPK, but it doesn't seem to have been doing much. Now Phantasy SPK has brought his Royal Marines up, and these guys do have 150 range as well, but he gets a few shots on these White Bear Infantry, but he's been shot in the flank by this Imperial Guard Infantry, and that's bad. He really should have been more careful with these guys. They're already down to 8 to 86 men, and it looks like the Cav engagement has started. Phantasy SPK, seeing that Olaru's line cannot shoot over this hill, so he charges in his Yariki. But because Olaru has his own Yariki, he countercharges and takes out the Cav of Olaru. But because Olaru has so many lines, and again these attack orders, pulling these Black Bears out of formation, seems to me calling attack orders doesn't really do much. You can see here this Black Bear infantry is still trying to shoot this Yariki, but it's now going into melee with this White Bear. Over on this flank over here, the Cav engagement has started between Olaru's Imperial Guard Cav and Yariki against this Shogunate Cav, which is losing because of the shots by this Imperial Guard Cav, and they have 109 reload. That is just absolutely wacko. But Fantasy does have his own Imperial Guard Cav, and they've charged straight into this White Bear, and it looks bad positioning on Phantasy SPK's part. These attack orders just putting these guys in front of each other, not really causing any good damage, because this unit was shot by two of Olaru's lines. This Black Bear infantry is still shooting onto this White Bear infantry, In fact, for me personally, I would have lined these guys up facing this way and taken this unit out of the battle. Phantasy's SKP's centre has it has routed. It's gone. Olaru's won on the centre and the right flank, and things aren't looking good for Phantasy SKP. It looks like he did get the jump on these White Bear infantry, but the general shooting them in the side will take its toll. And this general has 115 reload, going way out of the bar. It's never seen anybody with that much reload before. And things aren't looking good for Phantasy. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the GGs will be going out soon, because Olaru has just way too many troops, and this Imperial Guard Cav is just under 100 men, still nowhere near half strength, and it looks like Phantasy is going to be pulling back on top of this hill. Let's just fast forward it, shall we? See, the Black Bear infantry over on his left flank has actually won it, but will it be enough? Let us see. So again, Olaru, Phantasy SKP clicking these attack orders, not really being really good. That's the first time I've ever seen them shoot at longest range, but these guys are now getting shot in the back by our Royal Marines and they are routing. It seems these attack orders are just absolutely insane. By clicking that attack order on the General's Bodyguard, this unit is going to be annihilated by these Royal Marines, and that looks like game over. Imperial Guard Cav are in combat with this general, and it looks to be losing, but it does have Olaru's general coming in, and that's the general routed as well. So that's game 2 to Olaru. SKP didn't bring any different army, to be honest, and Olaru was able to combat that with his own line and better placement of troops. So let's have a look at the results screen. So here is game 3, and it's the last and final game. The winner of this wins the match and advances to the next round. So what will happen now? Will Phantasy change his army, or will he bring the same army as he's brought the last 2 games? And what will Olaru do differently to make it so that he wins 2 in a row? Let's have a look. So Phantasy has brought a long line of line infantry now, spanning from tree line to tree line, and I actually do have the army composition right in front of me. Now Phantasy has brought 3 Yariki, 2 White Bear infantry, 1 Shogunate Guard Cav, 1 French Marines, which is the Infanterie des Marines, 1 Imperial Guard Cav, and 4 Black Bear infantry. You can see here the Cav lined up in a weird formation to trying to get them all hidden. Let's have a look at Olaru's army and see what he has brought. He's brought a long line of troops as well, going from tree line to tree line, and he's brought 3 Yariki, 4 White Bear infantry, 1 Infanterie de Marine, 1 Imperial Guard infantry, 1 Imperial Guard cav, 1 Black Tortoise force, which is a first for any of these guys. Where is it? It looks to be here. And he's also brought 1 Black Bear infantry. So let's start the game and see what Phantasy will do differently to make him get the win. So it looks like both of them are going for this hill yet again. Phantasy SKP bringing one of these Black Bears up here with the support of 2 Yariki, and he's been very aggressive yet again. We've seen that Phantasy isn't a very aggressive player, but he has 1 throw out of 2 with his own strategy. So will it work this time around? It looks like it's going to be 4 lines of Olaru against 3 lines of Phantasy SKP, and the Infanterie de Marines are over on this side. You can see the bombardment from Phantasy SKP going in, trying to anticipate the movement of this White Bear infantry, and first shots have gone off from this Imperial Guard infantry and straight into this White Bear infantry, but Phantasy SKP is quicker to retaliate, and he's collecting attack order with this Black Bear infantry, but these are being shot by this Black Tortoise force. The Infanterie de Marines are going ahead and fighting, but it looks like the cav engagement has started. 2 Yariki against 2 Yariki, but Olaru does have this line in here and it will make a difference. See over here in the centre, Olaru is doing well. He is beating one of these Black Bears off, but Phantasy does have these 2 units coming in to reinforce. And again, these attack orders have brought this unit way too close for... I have no idea how these guys are winning, because this White Bear infantry could have had a couple of shots off by the time these stopped to shoot, and you can see more bombardment going into these cav, but it only does is rout his own troops, and that gives Olaru free rein to charge into this Black Bear infantry. But again, these attack orders have brought this Infanterie de Marine way too close than it should. It looks like clicking attack orders makes your men want to get up in the faces of the enemy line before they even start shooting. Things are looking good for Phantasy SKP on the right flank here. His cav is doing a lot of damage routing this 1 Black Bears, and this Black Tortoise force has routed now after being fought off by 2 Black Bears, and things aren't looking good for Olaru. All he has now is this 1 very good Imperial Guard cav and this 1 very good Imperial Guard infantry, his Imperial Guard cav and his general with a Black Bears, or a White Bears, sorry. Phantasy being a bit hesitant with his Shogunate Guard cav, but in the end decides to charge in to this Imperial Guard cav, which is a I would say a smart move, but these guys do have similar unit statistics, and with the general shooting as well, we will not know who wins this. But it looks like the cav charge from Phantasy's Yariki will get into this Imperial Guard infantry, and Phantasy's line is shooting into the general of Olaru, and it is now routing. And there he is there. The cav went straight through this Imperial Guard infantry and right into the White Bear infantry, which didn't shoot again, I don't think. Long lines of dead everywhere from the battles. There's something very beautiful about how it's a perfect line of dead, to be honest. And it looks like Olaru has lost, so that's 2-1 to Phantasy. He will progress to the next round, or the next heat of matches, and sadly Olaru must leave the tournament. They both fought very well, Phantasy coming out on top in the end. Let's have a look at the results screen. So here's the results screen of that final battle. Phantasy SPK bringing lower than the 1470 deployed than it usually does. His Yariki and his Shogunate Guard Cav have done a lot of damage. But so did Olaru, and it was a very close game. Very close heat. Good games to both players. I really did enjoy casting these replays. Good luck to Phantasy SPK in the remainder of the tournament, and commiserations to Olaru. So as I said at the start of the video, there will be a link to the TWCC in the description, and I really do urge you to go and register to those forums. Until the next heat of gameplay, guys, I will see you later.